Welcome back. So we look now at a C grade response to this question, and if you want to analyse it in your own time, obviously full detail, I'll put it up on the Facebook page for you to download and use. Right then, so what we've got here is the actual passage and what I've picked out. Obviously I've already highlighted them, and over here I've got the mark descriptors, mark scheme descriptors to actually show you why I'm going to get marks, so hopefully get marks as I go through it. So how do the details in the passage add to your understanding of George and his relationship with Lenny? In this opening paragraph here, I've summed up everything I'm going to say. It's good because it allows the examiner to know exactly what you're going to talk about, and obviously I know that just from I've picked out these things, I know what I'm going to say, and I've just listed them, so it gives me a kind of base just to spring off of. So this is really good because it can anchor you. So if you are a student looking to get a C grade, just try and write down in your introductory paragraph. It's not necessary to write an introductory paragraph at all, but it can just kind of build your confidence that you know what you're talking about. And you're looking for 3 or 4 things in this. The entire answer, I'm not going to count that first paragraph, the entire answer there is just 300 words, which is about a page, just a little over a page, and that's, you're not going to need any more than that. You could get away with writing, probably, 3/4 of a page to a page, and it would be fine, because you've only got about 40 minutes to do both, so you're not expected to do more than 20 minutes on both of these. So a page would be more than enough. So this passage tells us a lot about George and his relationship with Lenny, how he's like a parent and teacher, and that he knows Lenny really well, and that he doesn't trust women. So I've picked out those examples from here. So I'm talking about George, and this is how he's like a parent and a teacher. He doesn't like women, and he knows Lenny really well. So that's part of my relationship one, and these are my things about George. And you can obviously have picked different things, but these ones were the most obvious ones to me on first reading anyway. Firstly, he has to explain things to Lenny like he is a child, because Lenny asks childlike questions. That's just the way they make him. He doesn't want to answer silly questions like a parent who is annoyed at their child's questions, but Lenny is like a child. So again, you can see my writing there is very simple, very straightforward, but I still make my PEE point. I'm actually saying exactly what this actually tells me about George and his relationship with Lenny, and I've picked out evidence to back it up, and he doesn't want to answer silly questions. So what I really want to say there is that he's fed up, frustrated, annoyed, but then in saying like a parent who's annoyed at their child's questions, I've kind of made that link. It shows I've tried to be a bit more descriptive in my writing, so that's good. And then showing my understanding of Lenny as well in the relationship. Lenny is like the child, so that's kind of stressing their relationship, and obviously George's anger. George's frustration. He also, so from here, what I've actually got here is I've got my details, and I've picked them out, and I've linked them to my interpretation. He also has to help Lenny with everything, even his own memory. You see him in the barn. Sorry, there should be an open quotation. You've seen him in the barn, and he told you Lenny needs George's help all the time, and this is also shown by the fact he also holds his work card. So again, I've done my simple PEE to get my point here linked to interpretation, my point, my evidence, and my explanation, and then I've actually tried to stretch it a little bit further and shown an appreciation of how the writers used the I'm not going to say definitely structure on here, but it's a link to the structure in terms of the actual novella, how it's put in, how it's re-referenced and come again and again. So I actually understand that this is a link to a slightly wider context of the novella as a whole. So in the structure, the way that Steinbeck's actually structured it, we see this again and again and again to make us really, really understand that. Obviously, I could develop that answer, but for a C grade student, I'd expect that to be about what they put. It's a little shorter than this one, but then it's made up for by the fact the next one is a little longer. Also, this passage shows us that George needs someone to talk to, because as he is playing cards, he says to Lenny, "You remember, you remember Andy Cushman, Lenny? They have a past together, and remember the same people." And this shows that deep down George does like Lenny, and he didn't need to start this conversation with him. So what I'm actually trying to do there is show my understanding of George's psychology, showing that George, he brings up an example to Lenny to actually show that they've got this close connection, so they've got this long-lasting relationship. So again, I'm picking out the consideration towards the idea and theme of their relationship, their friendship. And my details are linked to the interpretation, because I've obviously picked out the phrase when he says you remember. I could say remember, analyze that a little bit more. The word remember shows that it's something that they've shared between them, etc., etc., etc. But I'm adding to it in a different way. And also that he is like a parent or teacher trying to give Lenny real life examples of why Lenny should listen to him. So again, I'm referencing George, how he is towards Lenny. He proves to be right because Curly's wife gets them in trouble and ruins the dream, and Lenny didn't listen to George about staying away from her, which he always says. So again, I'm actually picking up parts from the structure of the novella as a whole, discussing or mentioning how this is again a recurring theme. Now you'll notice that these parts I've actually put in yellow. Okay, I've put these parts in yellow because I just want to show you that they're the parts that really show that kind of hit on the some of the A aspect here. Now, if the writer's use of language in particular, you can pick out different things. So you could say that's just the way they make them, and you could have analysed maybe here just to say like he doesn't he answers quickly and abruptly. He doesn't say that's just how they make playing cards, my dear Lenny. He just wants to cut the conversation off. You can analyse stuff like that, but I'm trying to show you the lesser travelled path, because that's the thing that's going to make sure that your C is a lot more solid. Because if you pick out one or two bits of language, that can be more low C and this, in my opinion, is more high C. But obviously, it's AQA will have the last say on that. It also shows that George knows Lenny really well, as he says, you can remember anything if there's anything to eat in it. So he knows how much Lenny likes food, which shows he is a good friend. A very simple way of getting to their relationship. And finally, he also shows he is sexist. He doesn't like women and blames them for things. And he's in San Quentin right now on account of a tart, said George. This is one of the few times he mentions showing. Apologies for that. Again, I wrote this in for 10 minutes, so I didn't double check it before I start recording. Forgive me. Showing them in a bad way, like when he talks about Curly's wife. So I'll just go over that sentence again because of my mistakes. Apologies, guys. This is one of the few times he mentions women, showing them in a bad way, like when he talks about Curly's wife. He thinks women only bring trouble. So again, I'm looking at George and I've picked out something and I've actually linked it to a wider context. So here I've got a lot of A-point skills in and kind of discussed it. I haven't really gone into any of the support for the time, but I think this should be enough for a C at this level. The main thing, again, just to remind you, is to pick them out, look at the evidence, and then link it to the book, or analyze as much as you want as well. But remember, you haven't got time to go into super detailed analysis. It perhaps would have been slightly better if I'd have done this and analysed the language. Then maybe I'd be moving more into B category. But obviously here I've gone with one or the other to try and show you a way. But obviously, even the exam, if you do have time to do both, then I would definitely analyse more language as well.